Okay, it is the 1st of August now, and I've driven way deep into the Kiamichi Mountains, and I'm higher up the ridge right now that we were at in March, that something had walked down the ridge and approached the tents in which we were camping in. So I'm further up than I was, and the thunderstorm is about to roll in, which is good because temperatures dropped to down around 80, where before it's been in the upper 90s and the 100s over the last week or so. So hear thunder, hope it picks it up. That's a calming effect, so to speak. I've got a report here that came to me from one of my subscribers. This encounter actually took place in Ohio back in 2000 that I thought I would share with you guys. And this comes from a subscriber who has a YouTube channel called Will Star, in which he does a lot of outdoor videos, as well as some Bigfoot reports as well. So shout out to Will Star. Thanks for the report, and check out his channel. Now, before it starts raining, I'm going to try to share this with you. And this came in an email. I'm old school. I don't read anything off my phone or whatever, which I would if I would go to the trouble, I guess, but I'm pretty old school. So anyway, this report out of Ohio, he said, "Hello, brother. My Bigfoot encounter occurred in late October, early November 2000. Said, I can't remember the exact weekend. My fiance and I planned a weekend getaway in Logan, Ohio. We had heard about all the wonderful outdoor sights and activities in the area known as Conkle's Hollow and Old Man's Cave, just to name a few. We were staying at a place called Cabins in the Pines. It is one of those weekend getaway cabins with a hot tub and fireplace and wonderful scenery. We stayed in the northernmost cabin out of the 3 on the property. Friday night went by with nothing unusual. But then Saturday morning we got up and went exploring all the aforementioned sites and activities. We stopped at a small little mom and pop's grocery store, and we purchased some country ribs and potatoes and corn to cook on an open fire pit that sits about 100 feet away or so from the cabin. We were sitting there cooking food and listening to a little handheld radio. The volume was on super low because you don't want to go to a place like that to be super loud and disturb the other guests that are staying in the other cabins. The radio was so low, in fact, that when I went to go outside the cabin to get some utensils for cooking, I couldn't hear the radio by the time I got to the door. As we were sitting there at the fire, all of a sudden I heard something taking steps in the forest from a west-southwest direction from far away, getting closer and closer. The leaves on the ground were crunchy, and it was easy to hear. It would take 2 steps, then stop for 5 to 10 seconds, then take another 2 steps, wait 10 to 15 seconds, then another 4, then 2, so on and so on. And it kept doing that until it reached the tree line adjacent to our cabin. By this time, my fiance was pretty scared, and I myself was wondering what the heck was going on. I need to say that this happened right at dusk. The sun was down, but the clouds were still glowing from the sun, if that makes any sense. We couldn't see anything other than a huge silhouette standing behind a tree and some low bushes, and it was swaying back and forth like it was playing peekaboo or something. Needless to say, this really freaked out my fiance, and she basically told me to take her inside. We had to go closer to the tree line where the creature was standing to make our way back in the cabin, so I took her by the hand and led her to the doorway, never taking my eyes off the silhouette that was standing and swaying back and forth. When she got in the door, I turned and took the small baseball bat-sized stick that I was carrying from the fire pit that I was trying to use as a torch to protect us, and threw it at the creature after I screamed at it, basically saying, "Dude, who the heck are you walking up through the forest at night like this, scaring my fiance like this? If you don't show yourself or say something, I'm about to blow your brains out." He says, "I was in disbelief of what was going on and still hung on to some thought that this might just be a huge person walking through the dense woods by themselves at dark, but the silhouette just kept swaying back and forth even after that I had said that and threw the stick at it. And he said after he threw the stick, that was a torch was lit, he said it fell woefully short of the figure and went out even after he had yelled, "Get out of here," like he said he yelled at it like he was yelling at a stray dog or something. And said after that it literally just turned and walked away back the same way it had came in, but by this time it was much darker, so even then I really didn't see anything other than a silhouette, even though I was much closer to it by this time, 30 feet away, or maybe that's really close. But I could hear it walking away. And then I went inside and we shut all the blinds and turned off all the lights and did not use the hot tub that was out on the deck that night either, and who can blame him for that? This happened in 2000, before smartphones with cameras and built-in flashlights. I often think about how proof might have been right there if only I'd had a smartphone back then, or heck, even a flashlight that night. So yeah, I know what you mean during that time, and thanks, Will, for allowing me to share that with folks. And well, that thunderstorm is just coming over that opposite ridge over there. I'm over a valley right now, and valley runs east and west, kinda. Anyway, the storm's coming over that opposite ridge right now, so hopefully I can get all this out before. But yeah, I remember back then in 2000, the late 90s, going out on these expeditions and such. And the type of cell phone that I had back then was, any of you guys my age or a little younger or older remember the bag phones. We didn't have the cell phones we carried on us at that time. It was just like bag phone. You could charge it in the cigarette lighter inside your vehicle, and it had literally a cord with a phone that hooked to the bag, and you dialed in. Couldn't really carry it around too easy, but the thing is, all these places that I go to now that I cannot get any cell phone signal at all, those things I could get signal deep in the Comanche Mountains where and I could call out. There's an area that another researcher goes to. He calls Area X, which is east of here about another 50 miles or so, and that is in a deep canyon area there. And I remember I could get reception on that thing back then. So anyway, yeah, I can feel your pain, Will, on the not having a good cell phone with a camera back then. There were a lot of opportunities, I think, passed us by back in those days, that had we had that little cell phone camera, would have made a lot of difference. So anyway, the thing you mentioned about if he just could have had a smartphone back then, yeah, that's something else. Now, what I'm going to do now is, if I don't get rained out, I'm going to hike back down the ridge, and I'm going to go back into these creek bottoms and look for any kind of evidence that I can find. That I was down here about 3 weeks ago, found a trail of possible Sasquatch footprints down there, so I'm going to go back down there and see if there's any other evidence that might be. And I also got a new gadget I'm wanting to try out, and Will, the gentleman that sent this report in, he's the one that told me I might consider it, and it's called a gimbal. And what it does is I will hook my GoPro to it, and it keeps everything steady. So I'm going to try it out for the first time. And in the meantime, hope you enjoyed the report. Thank you, Will, for sending this to me and allowing me to share it. And again, shout out to Will. Check out his YouTube channel called Will Star. He got quite a few videos on it. A lot of them are Bigfoot related. Interesting stuff. Also, shout out to my buddy Cornell up there in Massachusetts. I texted him before I got out of a cell phone range coming down here, and he said he's about to go out for a hike too. So, and something's just crawled up my pant leg. and it was a grasshopper, thankfully, and not a spider. So anyway, shout out to Cornell from the No Such Thing podcast. He told me he's going to go on a hike and video it today as well. So I guess that's all. I'm going to go. I'm going to hike back down the side of this mountain and go hike into those creek bottoms. If I find anything interesting, I'll shoot footage of it as well. But until next time, you guys take care.